Electric Callboy have returned with a brand new single, and it's called The Way You Are. This is probably going to be, the last single, I believe, before the next album comes out, Tan's Need, which comes out in August the 7th, so not too long to wait. This has been a fun build-up for this one, I think. I was a little bit put off towards the latter end of their last album cycle. I honestly couldn't even really tell you why. It feels like Electric Callboy found this formula after, lots of experimenting, especially when they kind of had their little lineup shake up and they got Nico to join a couple of years ago, and it feels like they really catapulted themselves into the forefront, right? We got the moves, we had Pump It, we had Techno Train, etc., and those were all absolute bangers. They were classic, the music videos were funny and witty. I think that they probably had quite a large increase in their fan base over the course of that release cycle, and I loved it. And then to me, it felt like they just kind of went onto autopilot. They figured out this kind of contrasting style, which I know is a big part of what makes them what they are. More poppy, more melodic, very kind of like sweet sounding choruses, contrasted with very heavy scremo sections, metal-y stuff, and techno stuff. It's a pretty interesting blend. It's definitely what makes them kind of separated from the crowd, but it started to feel like most of the songs were using the same blueprint, but maybe weren't as good versions of the originals. And I kind of lost interest a little bit, I will admit. It sounds harsh, and it's not a criticism of them at all. I just personally started to kind of, have as much as I was going to get out of that gimmick already. And then on this album cycle, we had Let the Good Times Roll featuring The Offspring, which I actually ended up really, really liking. It definitely does still use that formula, which, fair enough. But I don't know why that one got me more. Maybe having Dexter singing on that added a bit of variety that I wanted. They had the kind of like breakdown section where they went kind of Spanishy and kind of like did a big homage to the opening of Pretty Fly for a White Guy. That stuff was interesting. I found the hooks more interesting. I don't know. Something about that song stuck with me a lot more than the other offerings they'd had recently. So I guess the question for this one is, are they going to continue to maintain that momentum? Is The Way You Are going to differentiate itself enough that I don't find myself, just sort of like rolling my eyes and moving on with my life? First thing you'll grab out immediately is that the the thumbnail, the artwork, looks exactly like, I don't know, like a Blue, like a Boyzone, something like that. It's obviously an intentional boy band parody, which is kind of fun, a bit of Backstreet Boys. Even the name of the song, The Way You Are, it sounds like a noughties boy band song, right? So we've got this quote: "The way you are started with a pretty simple idea. What if the sweetest late 90s boy band love ballad suddenly turned into one of the heaviest songs we've ever written? We love playing songs with contrast, both musically and visually. The result is probably one of the most unexpected songs we've ever released, and definitely one of our favorites on Tan's Need," which is quite an interesting one. I mean, it feels like they said, essentially, this is going to do what we always do, which is, pretty stuff and heavy stuff. But I guess maybe dialed up to an even more extreme. If they're going to do like a proper boy band parody, and then they said it's one of the heaviest songs they've ever written, that they're really going to lay into those extremes to a point where maybe it does kind of like defeat the formula and become more interesting again. And also this article from Rock Sound does say, so buckle up, and oh yeah, the video is actually extremely not safe for work and not for the faint of heart. So we shall see entirely how much of this video I can end up actually showing, because I already battle with being monetized and copyright and all that stuff enough. What I don't need is to get another visual restriction because it's gross or full of boobs or something like that. So we will see. So now we're going to move on to the next section of this video, where I am going to watch this song for the first time. It's going to be very chop and change. I'm going to stop it quite a lot, talk about what I am seeing, try and break down and analyze anything that I find interesting. If you do want to see the entire video uninterrupted first, I highly recommend you go and check out the original. I will link it below. Watch that one, then come back and we can go through it together and try and figure out what makes this song tick. Oh, okay, literally straight out of the gate, we have this video deals with sensitiveness. Oh, okay, boy band content and death. Okay, there you go, sexual taboo. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Interesting. I've never really thought of Electric Callboy being like too explicit. Like, they swear a decent amount, but yeah, I know, we'll see. I'm curious to see just how boundary pushing this is, or if it's all a smokescreen to make me more intrigued. I bet this is going to turn out to be completely innocent, and actually all of this is just fast to try and make you laugh. Nice set of costumes already. God, it's amazing what the bucket hat does to change his head. Straight away, I'm going to say, I don't know that I can remember hearing an Electric Callboy song that has an acoustic guitar in it full stop, which already takes the softer stuff to a bigger extreme than I'm used to. The choreography is fun, I like the costumes, I really do love that Electric Callboy really lean into these characters. Also, I guess what is going on with this is that I think often they start with the heavier stuff, like the verses usually have a bit of a screamo thing, and then the chorus itself bursts out into this big kind of like melodic, more poppy feel to it, which they've completely inverted it so far on this one. It really feels genuinely like it could just be a pop song from the late 90s. He is a handsome boy, isn't he? Okay. Okay, a couple of things to talk about there. First off, I'm going to go ahead and say that the explicit nature of this is most certainly going to be them trying to eat fruit in a really, really graphic manner. I think it's all a bunch of hilarious hubbub, probably. But interestingly, we have gotten into a chorus, and it is still like a pop song. It's still got that acoustic bit, it's still Nico singing, it's moved into a slightly different chord structure now, but we've got a boy band chorus, which makes me really, really wonder where the contrast is actually going to land on this one. Are we going to have another verse later on where it suddenly flips? Are we going to be like a kind of two halves situation? I'm curious. I'm also slightly starting to wonder whether or not I'm being trolled through everything with the explicit nature of the song and even the contrast with the heaviest song we've ever written. Is this actually just going to be acoustic the entire way through and they're just messing with us? I guess we'll find out. Oh, here we go. Oh. Okay. They were not joking. I was not fooled or tricked. This is a song of two halves. It's actually really short as well. It's only, what, 2:42. I wonder if this pivots back or not. Because they were also not wrong. Well, the double kick pedal went straight the fuck in. Everything went extraordinarily gain level heavy. I really wish I could remember the name of the screamo guy, but he's not just screaming or shouting. He's doing like, you know, he is doing that like proper, very, very heavy. I don't even know. This is like not really my genre. I'm sure there are specific words to describe different types of screamo, but he's doing that shit where it feels like it starts in the balls, you know? And the music video immediately pivoted, and I was sitting there going, I wonder if it's just going to be them grossly eating a grapefruit. Nope, we're going to like have blood and guts and crazy stuff going on. You can't argue it's not fun, and they've definitely lived up to their gimmick. There's a lot of space in this riff, though. I actually really quite like it. The drums interacting with the way that the rhythmic nature of that guitar riff is actually really, really good. It's proper. It's not actually over fast. The beat still lies comparatively slowly, so it gives you a good space to kind of headbang. But no, it's very kind of like rhythmic and staccato. There's not a lot of kind of flowy stuff in between. I quite like it. I'm not sure if I would do an entire song like this, but it's a quite a good version of this. What was that? What was that noise? He just... Yeah. I'm currently playing a bunch of Resident Evil, and it really sounds like a sound that I would hear in the corner of my ear when a zombie's approaching. Oh. I liked what was in the background of that little section there, though. We had a chorus, it was mixed quite quietly, but there was like a harmony line there. I'm pretty sure it was a vocal. It could have potentially been synth, maybe, but I think it was a vocal line, kind of raising up almost this like choral. It kind of adds a almost doom metal feeling to it, which is actually kind of interesting and not something I was expecting. I wonder if that's going to be expanded upon. Yeah. No, okay, it was a synth line, I think, maybe. I dig that. That brings it entirely into like a kind of doom feeling, almost a sort of doom metal, super heavy. Okay. They weren't wrong when they said that this is one of the like heaviest songs they've released, at least from my knowledge level of Electric Callboy, but I quite like the direction. It kind of like elevates it slightly past what I would consider to be somewhat cookie cutter screamo a lot of the time. Those little dropout moments are really nice, though. There's that moment where you don't have anything, just whoosh. You got a little bit of the kind of like after effect of the organ or the synth line in the background, but those little moments where it breathes, it kind of they're really effective. Okay, I thought this was gonna happen. Just the little details, like having the microphone on there, the radio mic, it's so perfect. And again, I like the, I'm curious to know if this is, no, well, I'm thinking just in terms of how the shot is done here. I would imagine up until this line, or probably maybe even here, is real, right? They're poking their heads through it, and then they're on top of green screen boxes would be my assumption to get that to work. That, or the stall is entirely CG and they just filmed them from the head up. But no, I like the effect. It's kind of, again, I thought that they might do this little dropout section at the very end where we go back to reminding you the kind of contrast.
I want you just the way you are. When you pull me into pieces,
Doing all of them like that would be a pain in the ass for this one shot. I'm thinking maybe these are all CGI and it's just done quite well. It's a funny detail though, I like that. That last chord and everything as well. Just the coming full circle, starting with them on the benches, on the stools, and then ending them with them on the stools. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, my first take, I will probably not find myself listening to it too often. Well, actually, what will be interesting is I will most certainly save this. It will get to the top of my liked songs, which means for the next couple of weeks, it's going to fold into my natural order of listening to stuff. I'll be very curious to see whether or not this ends up being a track I skip or not. I don't know whether or not the gimmick for it is too extreme, for me at least, to make this like that listenable on a day-to-day basis. But it definitely made me smile, it made me chuckle. I think it almost elevates itself to like a parody of their own style, which, if it is that, I think is actually very self-aware, and I quite like that as a characteristic then, that they've figured out that this is the thing that they do. Let's take it to that logical extreme, right? Let's take the softer, poppier stuff and just find the most extreme example of that. You've got your boy band with your radio mics, and you're sitting on the stools, and everyone's very pretty, and they're feeding each other food, and it's all rather nice, and then take the most, like, doom metal, full screamo, like, I don't even know what that is, growling, I guess, sort of side of things. And I mean, it is essentially just one half of a song and then the other half of a song that are kind of bleh, which is where that transition is. I'm not 100% sure how smooth it feels. Well, it doesn't, of course, it's not meant to feel smooth, but I'm just curious whether or not on repeat listens that's going to become jarring, whether I'll like one side of the song more than the other, and I'll just be like, oh man, I kind of just want to hit the heavy bit. I don't know. It was good. It was interesting. The video was fun. I do think they slightly overpromised. Like, if these guys think that this is a particularly explicit video, I invite them to go and watch some Ice Nine Kills stuff, because some of the, well, specifically the Terrifier one, is one of the most obscene music videos I've ever seen. So not quite on that scale, but it was fun. It was tongue-in-cheek. Again, like almost all of the time that the Electric Callboy release stuff, it looks like they are having fun whilst they're making it, and that is something that's very tangible. I would like to be in a room jumping around with these guys. They seem like a good time. Whenever they do like the music videos that have like kind of like larger party scenes, you know, like We've Got the Moves, or even Let the Good Times Roll, those songs, I want to be there. I want to be jumping. It looks like a good time. They are entertaining people. I'm very curious to see what this album is like, because I've been kind of up and down with like most of the releases. I'm really, really curious to give it a good proper listen through as a piece of music, I guess without the visual aid as well. I'll be curious to see whether or not it loses something without that, because they've got a very strong visual identity, and that's a good thing, but it does sometimes mean that I wonder whether or not the music is being propped up, because I can't mentally disassociate from what I'm seeing as well. Who knows? That's the fun. But anyway, I'd be very curious to know what you guys think in the comments. Massive Electric Callboy fans, do you like this? Is this something that you actively like and are going to listen to, or do you, like me, think it's probably more likely a funny gimmick that maybe won't translate into a particularly listenable or repeat listenable song? I'd be curious to hear your takes. Other than that, if you did like the video, please subscribe to the channel. It helps to grow. We are on an upswing. Very soon, your boy Renz might even consider himself to be a fairly legitimate YouTuber, and that would be sweet. Other than that, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.